Is Billy Donovan crying wolf, or are the Bulls finally ready to run? Today, we're dissecting the coach's latest tempo promises and uncovering the shocking stats that might just prove him right this time. From hidden pace data to a game-changing off-season acquisition, we're revealing why this season could be different. Bulls fans, you won't want to miss this. Your team's future might depend on it. Stay tuned as we separate fact from fiction and uncover the truth behind Chicago's need for speed. Welcome to Chicago Bulls News, your go-to source for the latest updates on the Windy City's favorite team. Today we're diving deep into a story that might sound a little familiar. That's right, folks. Our head coach, Billy Donovan, is once again promising a faster-paced Bulls team for the upcoming season. Now, before you roll your eyes or hit that dislike button, stick with me. We're going to break this down from every angle and see if there's any substance behind these words this time around. Donovan recently stated, "We've really emphasized pushing the pace in practice. Our guys understand the importance of getting out in transition and creating easy scoring opportunities." Now, I know what you're thinking. Haven't we heard this before? Well, you're not wrong. Let's take a quick trip down memory lane. 2021, Donovan promises faster Bulls. 2022, Chicago aims to pick up the pace. 2023, Bulls coach emphasizes transition game. It's starting to feel like Groundhog Day in the Windy City, isn't it? But before we dismiss this as just another empty promise, let's dig into the numbers and see if there's any reason to believe things might be different this time around. Over the past 3 seasons, the Bulls have consistently ranked in the bottom third of the league in pace. Last year, they clocked in at 27th out of 30 teams, averaging just 97.9 possessions per game. That's slower than molasses in January, folks. But here's where things get interesting. When we break down the numbers quarter by quarter, we see a team that actually shows flashes of the up-tempo style Donovan keeps promising. In the first quarter of games last season, Chicago's pace jumped to 100.2 possessions per 48 minutes, which would rank them in the middle of the pack league-wide. It's in the later stages of games where things really slow down. First up, conditioning. Now, I'm not in that Bulls locker room, but from everything we've heard coming out of training camp, Donovan and his staff have placed a huge emphasis on fitness this offseason. All-star guard Zach LaVine was quoted saying, "Coach has us running more than ever. It's tough, but we know it'll pay off when the fourth quarter rolls around and we're still pushing the pace." This is encouraging to hear, but as we all know, talk is cheap. The real test will come when the games start to matter. Moving on to game planning. This is where things get a bit murky. Donovan has a reputation as a flexible coach who's willing to adapt his style to his personnel. While that's generally a positive trait, it might be working against the Bulls when it comes to maintaining an up-tempo approach. We've seen games where Chicago comes out of the gates flying, pushing the ball at every opportunity. But as soon as they build a lead or fall behind, the brakes come on. It's almost like Donovan doesn't fully trust his team to play at that speed for extended periods. This brings us to our third point, personnel. Do the Bulls have the horses to run this race? Looking at the current roster, there's certainly potential. LaVine and Coby White are both excellent in transition. DeMar DeRozan, while not known for his speed, has shown he can thrive in an up-tempo system during his time in San Antonio. And let's not forget about rookie Julian Phillips, who's been turning heads in camp with his athleticism. The big question mark is in the front court. Nikola Vucevic isn't exactly known for his foot speed, and while Patrick Williams has the physical tools to excel in transition, he's yet to consistently show it on the court. But here's where things get interesting. The Bulls made a somewhat under-the-radar move this offseason, signing Jevon Carter to a 3-year deal. Carter is a defensive pest who excels in the open court. His ability to create turnovers and push the pace could be a game-changer for this Bulls team. If Donovan is serious about playing faster, Carter could be the key that unlocks this up-tempo promise. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Why should we believe Donovan this time? What's different about this year's claim compared to previous seasons? Interestingly, Donovan seems to be aware of the skepticism. In that same press conference, he added, "I know we've talked about this before, but this year we're putting our money where our mouth is. We've restructured our entire offensive system to prioritize early offense and transition opportunities." This is a pretty bold statement from a coach who's usually more reserved in his pronouncements. It suggests that there might be some real, systemic changes happening behind the scenes. But here's the million-dollar question: even if the Bulls do manage to increase their pace, will it actually translate to more wins? Looking at league-wide data, there isn't a strong correlation between pace and winning percentage. Some of the league's best teams, like the Denver Nuggets and Boston Celtics, play at a relatively slow pace. Meanwhile, the Indiana Pacers led the league in pace last season but missed the playoffs. So, is Donovan barking up the wrong tree here? Not necessarily. While pace alone doesn't guarantee success, it can be a valuable tool when used correctly. The key is finding the right balance between speed and efficiency. Teams like the Sacramento Kings and Golden State Warriors have shown that an up-tempo style can be highly effective when paired with smart decision-making and accurate shooting. If the Bulls can emulate this approach, they could see a significant improvement in their offensive output. But let's not forget about the defensive end of the floor. Playing at a higher pace often leads to more possessions for the opposing team as well. The Bulls will need to be disciplined in transition defense to prevent easy baskets for their opponents. This is where players like Alex Caruso and the aforementioned Jevon Carter become crucial. Their ability to disrupt opposing offenses and create turnovers could be the difference between a successful up-tempo approach and a defensive disaster. So, where does this leave us? Is Donovan's claim just more hot air, or is there reason for Bulls fans to be excited? Honestly, it's too early to say for certain. But there are a few factors that make me cautiously optimistic. The emphasis on conditioning in training camp suggests a real commitment to playing faster. The addition of Jevon Carter provides a new dynamic that could help sustain an up-tempo approach. Donovan's unusually strong language about systemic changes hints at a more serious effort this time around. That being said, we've been burned before. The proof, as they say, will be in the pudding. Or in this case, on the hardwood. All right, Bulls Nation, that's our breakdown of Billy Donovan's latest up-tempo claims. What do you think? Are you buying what Coach is selling, or is this just another case of preseason promises? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And hey, if you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Windy City Breakdown for all your Chicago Bulls news and analysis. We've got some exciting content coming up as we approach the start of the season, so you won't want to miss it. Until next time, keep believing in those Bulls.